what about like other issues of infrastructure? Like in the hotel that I'm in, I'm, in the middle of Montevideo, nice five-star hotel overlooking La Rambla, place to be. But when I booked into my hotel, the Wi-Fi speed was, I'm like, dude, I need to use Zoom. This won't work for Zoom, right? And we had to scramble. We needed to scramble to look for alternatives because generally speaking, Wi-Fi was slower. Uruguay was, at least Montevideo, was known for potable drinking water, but they've been recently having some issues with that. So you can't drink water from the taps like you would in Europe or most of the US. Yeah, what about all those and power supply in some parts of Uruguay? Maybe not. I've been driving for hours around Uruguay. There's some places where people have these big water tanks on top of their house in their backyard. I guess that means that their water supply may not be reliable, so they need backups. What is it like in Paraguay? Is the government infrastructure decent? Like, can you work with it, or do you need to supplement it?
Right. So, yeah, there's a few. You brought up a few good points there. We'll cover the basic ones. Internet speeds are very reliable in Asuncion, the capital. My colleague, he can get 300 megabytes per second download, more than enough to do any sort of online business. There is blackouts occasionally. We probably have a blackout maybe once every 3 months in my experience, usually after a storm. A lot of apartment complexes like mine will have their own generator that will kick in. I really haven't been without power for longer than about 5 or 6 hours at most, but it does occasionally happen. The water, you can drink the water out of the taps here. I wouldn't do it every day. Occasionally, if I run out of, bottled water, I'll drink the water out of the taps. But yeah, everyone says it's safe, but this is a South American government, so you take everything with a grain of salt. More broadly, in terms of government infrastructure, public amenities, that sort of thing. I mean, like I said, the government doesn't collect much taxes here, right? And I kind of feel like the citizens of Paraguay have an interesting relationship with the government here. It's kind of like, tell you what, if you leave us alone, we'll leave you alone. They don't expect much from the government. The government doesn't really enforce much rules or regulations or restrictions on people here, but then also the government really doesn't give much in return. This is great in terms of personal freedom, but perhaps one of the most free places you can do in terms of your everyday life. But it means that the roads here aren't great, right? They're okay, but there'll be more potholes than perhaps you would like. It can be a little bit haphazard in public places. Again, the parks and all that, they're nice, but they're not going to be as beautiful as parks in the States or even Uruguay. So that's kind of the trade-off you have to make if that's something that's important for you. What I find in Paraguay is that private spaces can be quite nice, very first world. It could be a place in Europe or America, but then public spaces can have a bit of a third world type feel to them sometimes. So yeah, I would say in regards to that, that's a weakness of Paraguay, the public amenities.
But that's a fair point that you raise. I mean, that is a trade-off. Nowhere in the world is perfect. It simply doesn't exist, which is why flat theory became a thing, because there's give and take, right? So in return for personal freedom, i.e. you want a government that doesn't get involved in your life, you have a government that literally does not get involved in your life.
Exactly. Right.
You need to get certain things done. You need to make your own provisions for healthcare. You're going to need to make your own provisions for personal security by paying for the right neighborhood. You're going to have to, have certain backups and provisions in place. And the trade-off is, if you really wanted a government that looked after you, be prepared to pay a lot in taxes, and the government will get involved in your daily life. So, it makes sense. It is a trade-off. And do you, given your time, I mean, you've been on both sides of the spectrum. I mean, Australia is pretty full on, right? They take half your money, but they look after you, right?
They do.
And Paraguay, they just leave you alone. So how's that transition been like for you?
I mean, I guess how has it been to me, honestly, a little bit of context. I did come from almost an 18-month lockdown in Melbourne where, you know, you weren't really allowed to leave your house for more than 2 hours a day, to being able to walk out on the street, seeing people having fun at bars. And it's a complete opposite. Even just little things here, like people, you're allowed to just walk down the street and have a beer if you want. You know, there's just all these. I feel like Australia is kind of like the obsessive parent that just tries to manage every part of your life to look after you and make sure you're well, but it's oppressive in many ways. So I felt free in a way I hadn't felt in a long time. That said, I mean, it really comes, are you the type of person that really needs looking after and you need all the help? In which case, a place like Australia is great because they're going to maintain a very comfortable minimum for you. But if you feel that you're sort of hitting your head against the top, you know, if paying 50, 60% in taxes doesn't sound great because you're in that income bracket, or potentially you could be, a place like Paraguay is amazing.
So if you're a 6, 7, or 8-figure investor, entrepreneur, or business owner who needs a tailor-made solution from a qualified team of professionals, we can help you achieve the international lifestyle, the freedom, and even the tax savings you're looking for. Visit us at htj.tax and live that international life.